Leslie and I have known each other since early childhood. We grew up on the same country road in Mississippi.
I think why we're good for the community of Mississippi is because we're a product of this community. We are just two country guys, and we were embedded with what I call the diamonds of good character.
Come, join the family, and help us build the community.
Charles, a Saturday edition of the Urban Law Show. Here we are once again on Saturday, July 25th. And normally during this time of the year, I'd be sitting right across from you.
Oh, indeed, sir.
This year.
Indeed, sir. This is one of the main times that you would be in the city with soul. But the pandemic says otherwise. So stay put.
Hey, I say the same to you.
Yeah, stay put. It has been a week, and I know I had several inquiries as to why we were not on yesterday at our regularly scheduled time. It's just a matter of the calendar ran long, and we had some emergency things we needed to take care of. Just part of the business, but we wanted to make sure that we took the time out to meet and greet and talk to our viewers.
Absolutely. It's important for us to do that, and we try not to miss. I probably can count the number of times we missed recently, but when there is no other option, then we will always come to you with a Saturday edition of the show. So we will never forget, because we miss you. We love talking to you every week. Love kind of updating you, and we said some good stuff to talk about today. And it's going to kind of be, yes, we're going to deal with trademarks versus copyrights. Yes, we're going to deal with our normal Charles topic around the pandemic, but we're also going to deal with some of the inquiries we get about stuff, just life stuff. And this probably is going to be very, very interesting to you today. So here's what I'm going to ask. I'm going to ask that you share this now. If you can hear us, and the sound is okay, press 1 in the comment section and just let us know, hey, you can hear us. And then, but this is one you're gonna want to share, because we're gonna talk about some things you're gonna want to hear about. So we're gonna talk about the ever-pressing hot topic of SUSU boards and does it work and what that means. We're gonna talk about some other things. These are the inquiries that we get in our mailbox constantly, or we get the phone calls about. And so we just wanted to have that discussion and kind of break that down to you today and have some fun with it. And so it's a relaxed Saturday, and we're looking forward to diving into it. And we got time today, so if we need to go longer, we can do that. So I'm really looking forward to the conversation today. With that said, Charles, why don't you kick us off?
Well, I guess I sent you an article, and I'll just dive right into that.
Go right ahead. Did you send that to my email?
I sent it to the internal chat.
All right. Okay.
We talked about it earlier.
Oh, yes.
The use of refrigerated trucks as a result of the heightened number of deaths associated with coronavirus, COVID-19, here in Mississippi. Just not too long ago, this was happening in New York City, and it seemed like it was a planet far, far away. But now we see that Mississippi is having to use refrigerated trucks because there's no space for bodies, because the deaths are mounting. The numbers are extremely high. Matter of fact, this past week, we had a 1650 day, a 1580 day, a 950 or so day, and yesterday was 1620 or so. That's putting stress on our healthcare system. And I know we've had healthcare workers come on in the past, but it's dire at this point because the morgue is out of room. The hospitals have already said they're out of beds. So that means when you get sick at this point, if it's a traumatic or if it's extenuating circumstances, it's going to be very tough on the system. So as you can see, that's from the Clarion Ledger, but this is right here in Hinds County, right where we practice, right where we work, right where we live. It's very real, and we've talked about it. We've talked about the precautions that need to be in place. And if we don't have a mandate on masks at this point, when you see refrigerated trucks being brought in, you shouldn't need a mandate. You should be able to take that and act accordingly, because it shouldn't have to land on your doorstep that somebody you know gets ill or somebody dies for you to take this pandemic seriously. At this point, we've had a stay at home. We've stopped the entire economy. And yes, there's been mistakes in how states and municipalities have opened up too soon. But I'm looking at the individuals now because it's school season and decisions have to be made around that. And most of these school districts are providing online alternatives. And we know mom and dad are not school teachers, but in order to flatten the curve, we've all got to make those type of sacrifices. And so I know that's hard to lead off with, and but it needs to be said. People are dying at higher numbers. Instead of flattening the curve is trending higher and higher and higher. And so we need to take heed and do the things necessary. It's okay to eat out, but get it to go. It's okay to socialize, but socialize from a distance with your mask on and for short periods of time. Let the bars go. Let the clubs go. Because those enclosed spaces with an airborne virus are what's driving the numbers. And neither one of us are scientists, but we're good common sense practitioners. And so a little common sense right now is better than what we have. So for our viewers and our listeners, we want to be able to talk to everyone about the issues. We want to be able to say exercise that online option for your child if at all possible, because right now the numbers are exceedingly high. When you see major sports conferences canceling fall sports altogether, just like the Southwestern Athletic Conference did, and trying to move things to the spring, that's to be applauded, because that's taking into account everyone's safety, from the ticket counter all the way to the players on the field. And that's the type of responsibility we need right now. So take heed, people, because as the article that we just put up showed, they're out of space for bodies. The hospitals are out of space for treating you. And we're still having problems with testing. We're still having problems with contact tracing. So take heed. Now, that's heavy. Why don't we just jump right into something else unless somebody has some questions? Hi, Alicia. Happy Saturday. Hello, Willie Mae. Moms. You know, my mom called me yesterday and said, what in the world happened to the show? And so here we are. It's Saturday. And you know, I asked you if I could lead off with that simply because it's troubling, and I want to get that information out in case somebody missed it. I know everybody's probably got COVID-19 overload. Good afternoon, Shamika. So we want to make sure that we're just getting out useful information.
Absolutely. And it's important. It's important. So even though I know it can be information overload, but as long as people dying, we have to talk about it because we still haven't gotten the real message. And the real message from the very beginning was stay home.
Yeah.
Unless you had to go out, do the essentials. And to be honest with you, and Charles is diplomatic about it, I'm just gonna come straight at you. To be honest with you, if we would have done those things and continued to do that throughout July 4th, we'd be in a much better position right now. But we didn't. So now, if we still, all right, and so I know even though society as a whole have kind of pushed things back to January, we're looking at football season pushed back on a limited schedule, all kind of fall activities have been pushed back to the spring. If we don't change what we're doing, the spring won't happen either.
No, it won't, because,
and I just need to say that because I think there's some apprehension or apathy in terms of when they say, okay, it's pushed back, so we'll still get it. Let me be clear. If we don't change what we're doing now, then in December, the results will be no different than they are now, even worse, and the spring won't happen either. So unless we get the message to change our behavior now, nothing's going to change. Webster defined it and called it this way. He said, to do the same thing expecting a different outcome is insanity. I'm not calling you crazy. Webster did that. But what I'm just stating the fact. So don't get mad at me. Open up the dictionary, look at Merriam-Webster, blame him, but I'm just stating the fact, and it's true. So please, let's do something different.
I mean, we've been trying to educate, but at this point, I mean, it's like, what do we do? I mean, where are we falling short? Because on the one hand, we're telling people to do these things. On the other hand, we see that the governments are, in some places, treading along as business as usual. And so people are stuck between having to provide for their family and to exercise maximum caution. All we're asking for is, as you do those things, do them safely. Be safe, wash your hands, get maximum distance, wear your face mask. But for any extra, you got to think long and hard about doing that extra, especially right now. Or like you said, moving fall sports to the spring won't really matter because they still do not have a vaccine, even though this was a good week for science when it comes to fast-tracking vaccines. But I think we all know what happens when you fast-track. Something may be missed. So let's not wrap our hopes around that until they get it all worked out. You know? And again, you see 4,800 cases yesterday in the Atlanta area, 1,600 here in the Mississippi. Yours there in Texas were, well,
ridiculous.
Yeah.
There's no word to say. I will say this though, Dallas County, which has been one of the most toughest counties on the lockdown, the restrictions, and we've made the news because our judge has been fighting with the governor from day one about this lockdown. And we, for the first time, we had a break where we had 600 and something new cases. We've been over 1,000 for 16 days in a row, I believe. So we had our first break. But here's the thing, guys. We got bars that are closed and we mandated they're closed, but yet strip clubs are open. You know, we got bowling alleys. So
it is as if coronavirus cannot walk into a strip club.
Right.
For the life of me, I don't understand it. They will still be there later, but flatten the curve first.
Right. The sooner we flatten the curve, the sooner we can resume business as normal. But if we don't ever flatten the curve, we'll never resume it. Now, here's the reality. Let me take us back to 9/11, and then I promise I'm gonna leave this soapbox alone because it's really starting to irk my nerves that we don't understand how to do the basic things as a society so that we can move on and move forward. But when we look at 9/11, there was a time, and because 9/11 has happened, A lot of us don't remember what it used to be like to fly, but I do. And so there was a time where when you were sending your child or your minor child, or when you were taking somebody to the airport, you could literally walk them down to the gate, sit there until they got on the plane and board, watch the plane actually take off, and then you could leave the airport. We haven't been able to do that since 9/11. It has never resumed normal activity.
You know,
And there are going to be some things coming out of this which we will never resume normal, but we will never even get back to a normal anything if we don't start changing how we behave now.
you know, I hadn't really thought about that. I heard you say 9/11 and the changes. I had to fly right after 9/11, and that was one of the most, you know how I am about airports. I don't really like the tediousness of it, and I certainly don't like leaving control into the hands of you know, a pilot, even though they're highly trained. You know, if it's up to me, if it's close enough, I'm just gonna drive. But I had to fly during 9/11, and can I just tell you how scary that was, having military in the airport? So that was the new normal, and that was, oh my gosh, that was rough. And yeah, 2020 is throwing a lot at us. You know, Alicia said it's running into flu season. But think about this, Leslie. Both of us have lived in the great state of Louisiana, and
Yep.
both of us know what this time of year means.
Yep.
Advent of storm season.
Yes.
And so you got to plan for storms and other in the middle of a pandemic. So that's a lot of stress on the system. You know, I mean, we got to be smarter.
No doubt. I mean, no doubt. We have to be. And until we do that, we're going to be faced with not being able to move forward. I mean, that's just the reality. It's kind of like, and you know, anybody knows me, I'm gonna be full of sports analogies because I'm the son of a football coach, and that's what I know, and that's what I played. But here's the reality: if you have an injury, or you break a bone, or you tear something, you tear a cartilage, or you tear an ACL, if you don't do the rehabilitation, you don't ever get back on the field.
That's right.
If you have any kind of surgery or medical procedure to replace something or fix something torn, if you don't do the necessary rehabilitation correctly, then you don't resume normal activity. It's no different with COVID. It's no different in society. And so if we don't do the necessary, we can't ever get back to the normal. It's like a maze. You know, you'll just be lost in that maze, and we'll just be circling. And eventually, when you circle and you circle and you circle and you circle enough, you forget where your origin point is, and so you lose your orientation and your basis of where you are. Now you're lost. So we have to encourage people that we have influence over that we have to do things differently and behave differently in the short term so that we can resume normal in the long term.
Whatever that normal is.
Whatever that normal is.
All right. So, microeconomies.
Yeah, well, a couple things. So what I'm going to do, I am going to kind of give a couple, we got a couple questions. So I'm going to go over trademarks and copyrights, the basics. Here, what you need to know, what's the difference, and why you need to go ahead and register, and some of the things to look out for. Because the thing about trademark and copyright registration, once you pay that fee, that's a non-refundable fee to the patent office. So you don't get it back. So even if they don't approve it, you don't get it back. So you want to make sure that you know what you're doing, you take your time, you do your research. So I did want to cover some basics of that real quickly. So the first thing is, what's the difference? I get this all the time. What's the difference between a copyright and a trademark? So trademarks protect words, phrases, or designs, or a combination of. So it could be a word with a logo. The combination of those two are trademarked together. It could be a word independently, a phrase independently, and that could be trademarked. It could be.
You're talking about business branding.
Yes, talking about business branding.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, if you look, so the big question I get a lot of times is, well, which one, people get them mixed up. And so that's trademarks. Copyrights protect more of a author work or paintings, audio visual work. Some examples of that would be like ebooks, a planner, a public performance, distribution, public display of some type of artwork. That's a copyright. Written material, blog, that's copyright. Now, when does it, as far as the terms, when does it go in effect? For copyrights, is at the moment of creation. However, just because you put that little copyright logo on it to say, hey, it's copyrighted, that's, yes, it's copyrighted creation. However, your protection comes from registering it nationally. Now, here's the other confusion. People are, hey, can I register with the state? You can, because the state has trademark registrations as well, but it only protects you in that state. So if you do the federal one, the national one, it protects you in every state. So again, those are the differences there. Same thing with trademarks. So just the moment you use it, yeah, you use it, but unless you register it, there's a free database you can search. Contact me at any time. You can hit me at chatwithles.com and schedule an appointment if you want to talk more in detail about it and go through it. I know I had a conversation that Willie Mae has joined us today. We were talking about some things dealing with her as we navigate through that process. And it's a lot of research. So it's not an easy process. It's a doable process. But it's one that you do have to take some time and thought, because you might get into searching and realize you can't copyright the name. It's already gone. And then you might realize, well, can't copyright the logo because somebody has something close enough to it. And so now you got to look, well, can I copyright the combination? Is that available? So that's why you have to look at all those avenues. So it's not as simply cut as just one straightforward. So just want to kind of break that down to everybody and kind of let you know that aspect of it, and to know that you want to go through that work, because once you pay the fee, it's non-refundable, and they may or may not approve the copyright. So our trademark. So.
I think that was a pretty good overview there. I think probably what needs to happen next is if someone has a question, reach out to us. And a lot of this comes into play as you're doing what we asked you to do. Think about those business ideas. Think about what problem you're solving, and then protect yourself in doing so. So that's just another layer of protection as you protect your brand and protect your works that you use to further your business. Now, microeconomies.
Here we go. Microeconomy. What is a microeconomy, right?
Yeah.
All right.
So the question has come up quite a bit. You've been asked the question, so have I. And the way I see it is the larger framework for it is how to build a sustainable microeconomy, and what does that look like? And so we're going to talk about just a couple ways that you can do that. And this has a long history from the African American community going back many generations. I think it's taken on a new energy because of the pandemic and people's need to do things in a creative fashion.
Right.
And so I was introduced to this term a long time ago, susus, but I didn't really take the time to participate in one or determine how I really felt about it. But then the question kept coming up, and we started looking at it. And you also hear the term blessing. Mm-hmm. And along with those terms, you also hear scam.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ask you to talk about it a little bit, because while we're answering questions and not always in the same place, a lot of times we're getting the same questions. And so out of our discussion about it, I felt like it would be valuable to our viewers to hear a little bit about it, because it's floating around out there. There are a lot of YouTube videos about it. People are talking about it in private Facebook groups. People are talking about it on, in their Zoom meetings with their families. They're talking about it in a multitude of places. So we always like for our people to have solid information, good intel. So
Yeah.
I set you up.
All right. Well, it's called a susu, sometimes called a merry-go-round. And let me just kind of give you some history of it. First of all, it was actually created, and its origins go back to West Africa and the Caribbean.
Yep.
It's many, many, many years ago. So it's nothing new. It's been around forever. Let me just dive right in. First of all, is it a scam? No, it's not. Not a scam.
In the right hands.
In the right hands.
Everything can be perverted. Everything can be perverted. But
let me say this: is the system itself a scam? No. Do people scam it? Yes, because people scam. Systems don't. So watch me on that, and I'll show you what I mean. It's because when you look at the form, what it actually was designed for is it was a rotating savings or credit association. Ideally, where a group of like-minded people create a microeconomy, which is what you've heard me talk about forever, right? I talk about the fact that our money in the African-American community only circulates 6 hours before it leaves our community, compared to the white community that circulates 26 times. And so the next closest to us is Hispanic, and they're circulating 14 to 15 times. So we circulate 6 hours. We got a major problem there. And then when you look at our savings rate and what we save and what we invest is directly tied to that. So I'm pretty passionate about this. So when I talk about a microeconomy, what does that really mean? What that means is if we don't have to look forward, we can look back into integration, look back into segregation before we were able to integrate, and look at what they had to do to survive. So you could not go to a restaurant if it wasn't Black owned. You couldn't stay at the established hotels. So they had to create their own hotels, their own restaurant, your own doctors. So it literally, you did business within your own network. Those networks all thrive, but at the same time, they invested back into the same network. So as long as that circle is happening, it keeps following and it keeps feeding itself, and everybody has a chance to receive, but everybody also gives. And so what happens here's the scamming part. What happens is when you go into these and you don't really have people with high integrity and good integrity, and when people just go through the process of a susu board and they receive, and you might hear this term called a blessing, you might hear it called different things, but when they receive, if they don't reinvest and they don't give, and I'm not saying all of it, that's not what I'm saying. Just it's a small percentage really of what you were blessed. But if you don't give back,
so take one step back. So before you get into how the scam goes, talk about how it actually is initiated, how many people it takes to properly do it, how many different ways you can do it, and how you get to a position of actually getting a payout from your investment.
Oh God, yeah, I don't know all the ways that out there. I can tell you that the common origin of the way is generally there's 8 people, right? That are around, that participate on the outside of that, and that are giving. So they give, and then you go through a process of steps, and that could be over anywhere from a 3-day period to a 14-day period for that cycle to complete.
Right, up to 4 weeks.
Up to 4 weeks. And so you go from being the entry phase, which is where you give, to the end phase, which is where you receive.
Right.
And so that's the process of it. And so look at it this in theory. If, let's say you gave initially, I'm just going to give simple math here. Let's say you gave $1,000, right? That was your initial thing. And 8 people came in and something, they did that. So that's $8,000, right? And then when you come out, let's say you received $8,000. I'm just doing simple math. You gave 1,000, you receive 8. So that means you get your 1,000 back. So you've netted 7. What you want to do, and the right thing to do from protocol, and if you're building a positive community where you're trying to uplift and have everybody achieve and truly build that microeconomy, then what you do is you go back and you get somebody else and you reinvest in, right? And so as part of what you've netted. So you win either way. And if you're reinvesting, then the cycle continues and more people get blessed and everybody wins. Here's the scam part. The scam part happens when people come in and they don't give, or when people come in and they receive and then they out and they don't reinvest.
Or the person holding the money takes the bag.
Right. Right.
So you got to do a certain amount of due diligence to ensure yourself that you know, and nothing is 100%, but find out who you're dealing with. And the reason why we want to talk about it is we talk about income inequality and circulating black dollars. This is one of the methods that's extremely hot right now. And it has old roots in our community, but it has to be administered properly.
So here's some questions to ask, right? You want to know about what the protocols and what the procedures. So if you do get in a group, and guys, you can reach out to me online and we can talk about it. But if you get in a group, you want to ask before you go. You want to just find out about the procedures, the processes. Are there rules? Is it very stringent? Because if it is, that's going to be a really good group, because that means if you don't follow the rules, they probably gonna put you out. and they should. And they should. And so what that does, that keeps the consistent. The other thing you want to look for is groups that have a high amount of people that are waiting to get an opportunity to participate. Those are the groups that are very hard to get into because they have such a good reputation and they do regulate it very toughly. And if you don't follow the rules, you will be sayonara. I've seen some that's so tough, they would not only will they boot you out, they will give you your initial back to you. So you don't even lose that. We don't want you to be a part of it. We don't do business that way. That's the kind, and that's what you want to look for. Ones that are, it's the quality of the people. It's the people, what their mission is. Each group should have a mission. So you want to find one that's more aligned with your risk tolerance, your goals, your mission, what you want to do. So just like with anything, that can, I said again, people scam, systems don't. Yeah. I've never had a system come up to me and say, dude, I'm just going to do you bad today. I've never had a system hit me in the face. I've never had a system but I've had people running systems that made the system do that to me. And right. So that's why I say that. So just kind of know that. But as far as it being legit and legal, it's as legit as the people are that's involved.
Right. It's probably this is not investment advice. We're not trying to push you into anything. This is all about educating our viewers. So when these questions come up, we like to share them. Because usually more than one person is thinking about it and have been approached by someone who may be fast talking, someone who may be legit. So we want our people to be in the best position to make educated decisions on whatever it is, and make sure that you're one, legal. One, we don't ever talk tax ramifications because we go to qualified tax professionals, and we're not investment bankers. So that's all of the fast talk at the end of the commercial that we need to say. I think the bigger point is we talk about income inequalities, and this is where some people are trying to make a difference in their communities. If you want to participate, find like-minded people, do the research, and know that you can go back and watch this and know that you can go and ask someone questions about it.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, when you think about the basis of this and why it was created, it was really to help people out. So it's no different than really, if I was kind of looking at what's the comparison to, if we go back and we look at the NAACP model, everybody paid membership dues to pay fees into the system. They didn't necessarily receive anything back, but it was for the greater good. That paid for the Thurgood Marshalls to fight against Brown versus Topeka Board of Education. That paid the fee for the work that NAACP had to do. But without anybody paying in, there is no NAACP. And so I think our Urban League or any of these organizations that do great work, even so we have to just understand the basics of the system. And here's what I tell you. If this is not fair, it's not going to be no investment tool is going to be right for everybody. None of this is going to be right for everybody. I'm just trying to break down the myths and the facts. So that's all. So you can make a good decision based on your level. Because like for me, there are plenty of people that ski and they go hiking.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing any of that. You ain't going to ever. I don't care if you tell me it's $1 million in the woods. It'll just stay there. Because I'm not going.
And then too, I think part of this is to say that how a susu is explained, how blessing trees are explained, has a lot to do with the misapplication of terminology, how the money is administered, kept, and held, and then paid back out. There's a lot of misinformation out there and a lot of use of terms. We just want to get it out there before you so that you can start doing some digging and we can educate ourselves together. This is not the definitive piece on susus or community giving. I think it's more of looking at this as a part of the microeconomy, and whatever terminology is brought to you in, at least you can know that you've been exposed to how the terminology is supposed to work, and get more defined as you drill down into it, because the application of it can be a little bit confusing. Some of it is blessing trees, some of it is actual susus that are built for community use. So I want to be certain that we say that, because we're not trying to do the definitive piece, but people are hearing these terms for the very first time. So, and so that way the information is out there.
Yeah,
our bigger point is this is one approach to microeconomies in the Black community.
Just one.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things I will, though, I do want to encourage you is, because whatever you can do to think microeconomy is going to be crucial for the community as a whole, because our savings rates are the worst. Our infrastructure, as far as capitalism, is the worst. Our ability to make systematic changes from a financial standpoint, where it's needed to be at play, even if we look at our HBCUs across the country, it's not at scale. So we've got to do something in terms of a microeconomy. And what that means is this. Here's my encouragement to you. Try to be conscious of, when you expend your resources, try to be conscious of, hey, how many times does this circulate in whatever that community is that you define as yours before it leaves? And can I do better? If it's just one more thing, one more business, or the thing I've asked, I am a big proponent of small businesses, because I am one. So although I could go to the big house shops and do that, and it's easier because they're on every corner, I try to make, as painful as it is sometimes, I try to make sure I look, is there a small business that can help me with this? I'm going there. So, that's an individual choice and things you can do. And so, I tell people, if you want to be a small business owner, first be a small business customer.
That's right.
Start there, right? And so just there are all kind of ways you can do things. The whole point of it is start looking at supporting in a micro so that we can eventually support in a macro.
All right. I agree with you. So we want to we want to have pieces that they kind of look at it, because we've talked about how long a dollar stays in the Black community. And so this is just a way to look at it,
Yeah, and I mean, I think investment clubs are good. There's all kind of ways to start a microeconomy, like just getting with a group of people and friends and like-minded and start an investment club where you buy stocks, right? And you educate yourselves. That's good, but do something. Is what I'm saying. Something.
Yeah,
something.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. No.
So that's that. And the reason why I brought it up, because we just kept getting tons of questions about it, and so I wanted to at least talk about it. Now, you guys, there's a lot of comments in here, so definitely let's jump in. You guys might know more than we know, but the main thing here is I don't support anyway. I'm not endorsing anyway. I'm just explaining and answering questions we've been asked. And let's see. All right, we got a whole bunch. All right, so I don't even know where to start.
I think we would, because it's been out there quite a bit.
Yeah, I love Alicia's comment here. Wait a minute. Let me find it. Alicia says, she says, if that's the only way I get blessed with extra, it ain't going to happen.
I think it's a healthy skepticism.
I hear you.
You know,
I hear you.
Trust, verify, trust again, verify again, and find out if there's something that meets with your idea of a risk tolerance.
And look, at the end of the day, it comes down to risk tolerance. But here's what I say. I'm different because I'm high risk. Because what I know is that I would rather, for me, just growing up, looking at the scale as a whole, I would rather spend my life trying to achieve something significant in terms of changing the legacy of my family and people that come behind me than doing the same old thing that I saw before. Because I know what that yields already. I know what working for 40 years of one company and drawing, I know what that yields and I know what that looks like, and that's not the picture that I want. So nothing wrong with that picture. It's just not the picture that I desire. So for me, even since I was a little boy, I can remember, and Charles will remember this, because even in college, man, while everybody else was going to games, I mean, man, I was pushing Amway products and I made some money. And so it was just the idea of business for me that I always fell in love with. So for me, that was never an issue, because I knew what ultimately the only way I was going to get where I wanted to go was through the entrepreneurship route. I knew that. So I studied the people that had made it. And so I looked at, and they all took risks, whether it was Bill Gates, whether it was Earl Graves that started the Black Enterprise magazine in 1970, or whether it was and I can't, his name escapes me right now, and I used to work for him, so I should know, that started the Black Collegian magazine in the same year, or whether it was John H. Johnson that started Ebony all those years ago. Hey, all of them got one thing in common. They did the impossible. You know, we just watched the documentary on help me, Charles, when to start the cosmetic company.
Madam
C.J. Walker.
Yeah.
Nobody thought she could do it. So, but in order to do something great, you got to be willing to be extraordinary. You got to be willing to do things that ordinary people won't, which means you got to take risks that most people won't. And that's okay. Not everybody's built to do that. Know who you are and stay within yourself. And so that's all I say. But, you know, but that's the thing. I always tell, because I tell my students that at the college, they always come to me with these big dreams. I say, are you willing to be extraordinary, though? Are you willing to take extraordinary risks? Because it doesn't come in an ordinary form. So we just have to understand that.
Yeah. I'm sure we've got a lot of comments on
that. We do. We do.
Oh.
All right. There's Iris. Iris said she did a susu in her 20s, and what I put in is what I got out. All right. Willie Mae says, hey, she was a multi-level marketing, had several people in the downline, made a bunch of money, then the downline started dropping off. Yep.
Yeah, that's the commercialized version of it.
Yep. It says, this is not investment advice, Mr. Irvin, Mr. Peters. It's just educating the community while documenting their journey. I couldn't have said it better myself.
That's right.
And yes, Andrea, I stand by this. People scam, systems don't.
That's right.
And look,
that's one of the main reasons why. So for context, people have been asking me to join these things. And Leslie knows how I am. I don't mind saying this on live, and I don't mind saying it unfiltered. My answer is probably going to be no. You know, I mean, I don't know enough information about who is administering. I don't know enough information about where the money is being held. I don't know enough information about what their plans are as far as payouts. So my answer is no. But you can see trends in our office when people start asking, these type questions. One person asked it, then we get 5 people asking. Now we got 20 people asking, and so we wanted to just talk about it as a trend. Because it fits in line with what Leslie's been talking about with income inequality. And I thought about it from the larger position of microeconomists, because that is in a sense how when banks were not available as a lending source,
right,
you had to find a way to get done what you needed to get done. And this was one of the things that traditionally came up.
Listen, guys, I don't know, I'm going to break it down to base level. We've been doing SUSU all our lives. I think about growing up in Mississippi, Marion County, Columbia, and I'd be at my grandmother's house, and she would say, hey, I need you to go, we didn't have sidewalks. You literally walked across the patch of grass, you know, Charles. And so you walked across, you go over to Miss Edmund and borrow a cup of sugar, and then same concept, guys. And then when they were in need, they would go and Miss Edmund says, hey, she'd be buying some shortening or some Crisco or something. And they did that all the time to make it. They supported each other because they all operated on fixed incomes. But they never went without food. They never went without. So it really was the same thing. So what I tell everybody, it's really what it comes down to. I don't care if it's business. I don't care if it's your doctor. It's about the integrity of the people you deal with.
That's right.
So you can go back to Dr. King on that one. You better judge people by the content of their character.
That's right.
Not their family blood, because some of the people that scam me most been my family. So I mean, and my loved ones. So I just can't. So for me, I just realized for the first time that this stuff was all around us as a kid. We just never looked at it from that perspective because we just didn't know at least I didn't know it to see it that way. But that's how Grandma made it. Because I was like, how in the world did she stretch that money for 30 days? Because I'm like, man. But that's how they did it. They work with each other.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, I think part of this is purely educational to get it. Because if you hadn't heard this term, guess what'll happen? When our good friend got his RV, I hadn't seen an RV on the road because I wasn't looking for him. But when I went and sat in his RV, I started seeing RVs everywhere. So now that this term is on your radar, you'll start hearing more about it. That's usually how it works. So I wanted to just make sure that we apply our thought pattern to it as far as microeconomies and the different ways that it can be administered, different ways, and what to look out for. Because the last thing we want our people to do is just go hand over hard-earned money and then come back.
Yeah. Absolutely. And with anything, what I always tell her, my rule of thumb is this: I'm only willing to risk what I'm willing to lose. Now, that's just me. So some people go to the casino and they have no problem. They think they're gonna win. I don't have that confidence in the casino. So my rule of thumb, when I go to casino, they're gonna get $20. And guess what? When that 20 is gone, that's it. And if I hit, if I win some money within that $20, I get up and leave right then. Now Charles knows that because we have been on the cruise ship together, and he just thinks I'm crazy. But my discipline with that is impeccable. I mean, I hit, and it was the first time I put money in there, and I had $20. And he's like, "Dude, you still got?" I said, "I hit. I'm gone, man. I see you later."
Yeah. And just for added context, because I don't want my mama's watching this. I don't want her to think I'm gambling.
On the cruise ship, mama, we had $30 between the two of us.
Yeah, that was just money that was set aside for that. But I don't really do chance games no way. If it's a game of skill, I might play in that, but slot machines and that type of stuff, no.
Yeah. No. I like to eat at the casino. I do that. I love the level of risk in that because I always win.
Speaking of eating, we've got 9 minutes left.
Yep.
And everybody has been inside. I was thinking, Leslie, maybe we should ask our viewers for, and I'm getting a lot of sunlight in my glasses. Maybe we should ask viewers for their top pandemic recipes. Maybe we could get a list going.
Yes. Let me put that question out there because I need some because I've kind of run through all the stuff.
And seeing as how I'm going to ask you this on live air because we have a celebrity pseudo chef watching the show right now.
Oh.
So maybe we get her to come on in the near future and talk shop on new recipes, new ideas around the kitchen. Andrea Lewis, I know you're watching. So please reach out to me so that we can get you on the show very soon so we can talk about some of your Epicurean feats.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you, Alicia. You and I can do the casino anytime and I don't do the smoke. I try to find the non-smoking areas. I'm only in there for about 10 minutes and I got to go. So I'm the only man I know to go through Vegas and don't even go to the casino. But that's just me.
Yeah.
Oh, she's quiet now. Now, come on now. I know she is. So give me these recipes. I want to hear about these pandemic recipes because I need some right about now. And I need simple stuff I can cook in 15 minutes or less. Don't give me this complicated stuff to take 2 or 3 hours. That's not gonna work for me. I need some simple stuff that I can do that's different. All right, here we go. Cherie got something. Let's pop it up. I made an easy homemade lemon blueberry. Ooh, that sounds good. Woo! I need a recipe on that one.
I need that recipe. Sounds good. I can't even eat ice cream like that, but that sounds good. I might be willing to risk it all for that.
Yeah, look, just substitute it with some almond milk. You'll be all right. Italian bow tie pasta. Okay.
Now, here's how you tell serious runners from not so serious runners. She's gonna tell you about a bow tie pasta recipe, and then she's gonna say, "But it's not a diet recipe." But that's because she did 8 miles today. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How many miles did you do today, Alicia? How many miles? All right, Cherie gave us the recipe. Here we go. Wait a minute. I need all of the recipe. All of it. Because I'm going to use that one. What else we got?
I know my mama's watching, but she can't really give you no recipe. She just cook off the top of her head. So and
Charles, this was Alicia's response to you.
Yeah. I get it. I'm
She said only 3 miles a day. You're right. You did 3 miles before 6 o'clock.
Oh yeah. Not falling for that one.
I had a question though. How are you guys still managing to get your cardio in during this pandemic? Because I have been struggling with that one. I've been doing well. I'm down 22 pounds or so, but I haven't been consistent with my cardio because my work schedule is so crazy. And part of it is just me and discipline. So I mean, what are some things for you avid health junkies that I could do that makes it easy for me to get that cardio in at home? Because I'm not going to a gym.
Got to get your miles in, bro. And might I say, Nike Run app is great.
You and Antonio and that Nike Run app. See, it just doesn't calculate my miles, man.
Yeah, it will. Yes, it will. Do
If
not
I
set it.
actually do them, huh?
Yeah, you actually do them. That's not going to calculate static.
Oh wow, okay. Maybe I shouldn't have asked that question because I just got an answer. I didn't like it, but it's probably right. Running your neighborhood 4:30 a.m. 2 to 5 miles.
There you go. Don't have to worry about social distancing at 4:30 in the morning.
You got that right. Man. All right. All right. Map My Run is a free app. Okay. Alicia says Strava. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all gonna get me right. I'm just gonna tell you, take one good look now. Because as I tone down, as late as the great W.C. Gordon would say, not the late, the great W.C. Gordon would say, hey man, you gotta get back down to pimp status. So I'm working on getting back down to pimp status. I got some work to do though. All right, here's the recipe, Charles. So we'll make sure we copy that one because my daughter has actually been asking me. She's like, Dad, you can make ice cream? I said, yeah. I said, but it's better now because you have the electric ice cream maker. I said, when I grew up, I had to be the turner.
You had to turn that thing.
And now that's a great workout though. But yeah, you just felt like you was turning forever.
Laser, that was not a great workout. Low bar, sir. Come on, man. Come on. All right. So I have one other request, and this is a personal request. Before we close out the show, because I want to talk about the late great freedom riders who have departed, and what they mean to me. But I am still working on my list of flea markets and used record stores in your area. So if you are not of Mississippi or you're in a different part than Jackson, send me some ideas because when the pandemic ends, I'm going record hunting. And I want to be able to hit some new and varying locations. Old school vinyl.
Old school vinyl.
Yep. And as we get ready to close out, I just want to say, C.T. Vivian, John Lewis, especially John Lewis, the sacrifices that they made on behalf of this country are gigantic. The end of a era in leadership in the Black community. And John Lewis was famous for saying, make good trouble. My question in honoring him and his legacy is, are we making good trouble? Are we making enough of it? Are we grooming the youngsters to stand in the void? He was 18 years old, and Dr. King asked him to get permission from his parents before he could take the first adventure that he wanted to take. And they said no, because they had a different mindset. And so he found a different way to be effective in the movement because he was just that young. He still had to ask for parental permission to participate.
Yeah.
And imagine, back then, that had to be done by letter. Imagine getting a letter from Dr. King to your parents asking for you to stir up good trouble, wanting to integrate schools in Troy, Alabama. And they were arrested right here in Jackson, Mississippi on a freedom ride. And they die hours apart from each other. It's incumbent upon us as, no matter your race, no matter your ideology, to live up to the ideas that they set out for a more perfect union. sometimes I'm at a loss when I think about John Lewis and his trajectory and what he means to our community and what he sacrificed. So I want everybody to think about that and the way that you can shape your thought pattern around that is, have I identified a young leader that can step into that board? Have I groomed that young leader to step in that board and allow them to make the mistakes and take the chances? Because that's how leadership is forged. Iron sharpens iron.
Iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
And so with that, I wish everybody.
And Charles, before you close, I did just want to highlight too. We also lost, and let me close it. We also lost the late great Reverend C.T. Vivian.
Yeah. I mentioned Reverend Vivian.
Yeah, and then we also lost
Charles Evers.
Charles Evers as well.
Yes.
Mega brother.
I did not mention Mr. Evers, but yes, a lion, a very interesting person who worked with everybody from Bobby Kennedy on down. Everybody's familiar with this brother, Mega, but those are huge shoes to fill. Do we have leadership in the young people that is prepared right now to step into those shoes? If not, that's something that we need to be examining as a culture.
Absolutely. And, I think more than ever, we need to be about some good trouble.
That's right.
More than ever, we need to be about doing something every day that gets us in good trouble. And so, from the shoulders where I sit, and this is a message, if I was writing a letter to my old self and all leaders of corporate America that are in corporate America today that look like me, here's my message. It's time to come from behind the veil of the corporate boardroom and to take the action that gets you in good trouble. It's so easy when you have a big salary and a comfy protection, as long as you carry the company line, to stay in that safe place. But that doesn't get you in good trouble. That doesn't help move our society forward. That's not a fight for justice. That's a fight for you. I'm urging and I'm challenging you to get yourself in some good trouble. That's all I got. That's all I got. So as we leave today, I know it's not easy. I know it's not the cool thing to do because it requires you to think outside of yourself and to think about others, the others that are come behind you and the others that paved the way for you to sit where you sit. They got you there by not being selfish, by getting into good trouble. The only way you get people coming behind you in those places to be more effective than you were able to be is that you've got to get in some good trouble. So as my final words today, I thank all of our listeners. Thank you for joining us on this Saturday special edition. Go out in your own way, in your own businesses, your own careers, your own work, and get in good trouble. And if you do that, not only will Urban Law be proud, but the legacies that come behind you that will stand on your shoulders will reach greater heights because of the efforts you made to get in that good trouble. Until next time, we'll see you back on next Friday, same bad time, same bad channel. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Leslie and I have known each other since early childhood. We grew up on the same country road in Mississippi.
I think why we're good for the community of Mississippi is because we're a product of this community. We are just two country guys, and we were embedded with what I call the diamonds of good character.
Come, join the family, and help us build the community.